Good evening, good evening. Welcome back to our brand boundaries episode. Today is episode 6, Faithful Boundaries in Action. Boundaries aren't just something we talk about, they're something we live out daily. Today, let's get practical about how to put faithful boundaries into action so you can walk in peace, strength, and freedom. Yesterday we mentioned the verse Matthew 5:37, let your yes be yes and your no be no. This verse reminds us that boundaries are about clarity, honesty, and being faithful to what God has called us to do. Again, Matthew 5:37, let your yes be yes and your no be no. What exactly does faithful boundaries mean? So faithful boundaries mean that you can stay consistent with your values. I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to read something out of the Boundaries book that I told you guys about. And when it says staying consistent with your values, so values, what we value is what we love and assign importance to. Often we do not take responsibility for what we value. We are caught up in valuing the approval of men rather than the approval of God. And that comes from John 12:43. I'm going to read that again. We are caught up in valuing the approval of men rather than the approval of God. Because of this misplaced value, we miss out on life. Did you hear that? We miss out on life. We think that power, riches, and pleasure will satisfy our deepest longing, which is really for love. When we take responsibility for our out of control behavior caused by loving the wrong things or valuing things that have no lasting value, when we confess that we have a heart that values things that will not satisfy, we can receive help from God and His people to create a new heart within us. Boundaries help us not to deny but to own our own hurtful values so God can change them. So we really need to make sure we're doing everything that we do is for the approval of God, not for the approval of people, things, whatever. Everything that we do in life should be for the approval of God. Doing it for God, doing His work. So again, what faithful boundaries mean: staying consistent with your values, honoring God with your commitments and limits, living in a way that reflects love, but also wisdom. I'm going to give you 3 practical ways to put faithful boundaries in action. Number 1 is communicate clearly and kindly. Instead of ghosting somebody or over explaining, you can simply say, I appreciate the invite, but I won't be able to make it this time. You're very clear, you're saying it kindly, and you're being faithful to your word. So instead of just ignoring the invite, someone invites you somewhere and you just ignore them, you don't respond. They ask you to RSVP, you don't RSVP. That'd be ghosting, right? Or again, giving a long, drawn out reasoning. I wanted to say excuse, but we're not making excuses. We're giving our reasoning for our boundaries. So it's not an excuse. Our reason why we will not attend this invite, whatever we're invited to, as long as we're given a clear and kind and being faithful to our word. Then that's all we need to do. So communicate clearly and kindly. Number two, practical ways to put faithful boundaries into action. So number two is stay consistent even when it's hard. So if you set a boundary with your work hours, don't keep just checking emails at 10 p.m. Faithfulness shows in the follow through. So if you put a boundary, we're going to say, like yesterday's episode, we talked about putting a boundary of we're not going to check our work emails past 7 p.m., right? So if you put that boundary, then maybe tonight you're sitting at home and you're bored, not doing nothing. Well, I'm going to check this email. No, don't do it. You've set that boundary. Stick to your boundaries. Stay consistent with your boundaries, okay? So don't check that email. That whatever's in that email will be fine. Especially if you already communicated what your boundaries are. They don't expect you to answer that, okay? Number three, invite God into your boundaries. Pray. You can pray. Lord, help me discern when to say yes, when to say no, and give me the courage to stand by it. So again, a lot of times we want to say we say yes when we really should say no. Ask God to help you make that decision. Ask God, does this align with my boundaries? So, Lord, help me just to discern when to say yes, when to say no, and give me the courage to stand by it. This keeps your boundaries aligned with His will. Again, we only want to seek His approval. We don't want to seek anybody else, right? We don't need to seek man's approval. So I'm going to go over those real quick. The practical ways to put faithful boundaries into action. You're communicating clearly and kindly. You're staying consistent even when it's hard. You're not checking those emails after a certain time, whatever your boundary is. You're not going to just go ahead and I'm just going to check it. And you're going to invite God into your boundaries. So those are your three ways. Here's some examples. Here's some examples of boundaries in action. So telling a friend, I love you, I care for you, but I ain't answering calls after 9 p.m. because I need to rest. Very clear, right? You said it kindly. I love you, I care for you, but I need to rest, and so I will not be answering any calls after 9 p.m. Now at work, I won't be available on Sundays. That's my family and worship day. So when that phone rings, that text message comes in, whatever it is, once you set that boundary, you've already clearly communicated you're not available on Sundays. And that could be for anything. Maybe I'm not available on Tuesday nights. My kid has ball practice. My kid has ball games. Maybe that's what it is. Whatever it is, as long as you communicate it clearly and kindly. Now within yourself, I won't let guilt pressure me into commitments God did not assign me. So now we're setting our person. Now, we've talked about a lot of boundaries that other people could try to cross, right? But now we're talking about boundaries within ourselves. So how do we keep our own boundaries that we've set for ourselves? So again, I won't let guilt pressure me into commitments God didn't assign me. So when someone's asking you something, and again, your answer should be no, but you want to say yes because you don't want to um, have that confrontation. You don't want to disappoint somebody. Again, we're looking for only the approval of God. We're not looking for approval of anybody else. Um, Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. This reminds us that guarding our heart isn't about building walls of isolation, but protecting our peace, our faith, and our relationship with God. Setting boundaries is one of the ways we guard what God has entrusted to us. Again, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. So very important that we are protecting our peace, our faith, and our relationship with God. Very important. Faithful boundaries aren't about pushing people away, pushing people out. Again, it's not about building the concrete walls. It's about making room for the life God designed for you. When you honor your boundaries, you are also honoring Him. Think about that. When you're honoring your boundaries, you're also honoring God. So next time you set a boundary or next time you want to just check that email or answer that phone call at 10:30 at night when you're already in bed, because that friend is calling just to talk. Now, again, emergencies is something totally different. Like emergencies don't happen all the time, and emergencies are emergencies. But just because Lisa's awake, or she has some gossip she just can't wait to tell you, she's gonna call you and tell you. Nope. You already said you're not answering your phone past 9 o'clock. You're already laying down in bed. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you're spending time with your family. Maybe it's your family time. Maybe you guys are, playing a game of Scrabble, watching TV together, watching a show, whatever it is. If you set that boundary, and again, you clearly communicated it, then Lisa shouldn't expect you to answer the phone. Now, if it's an emergency, she's probably going to text you or call you, leave you a voicemail. Yeah, this is an emergency. You're going to know that's different again. But that's that call just to the information. Nope. So again, faithful boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're not building that concrete wall, and it's not about isolation. It's about making room for the life that God designed for you. As we close, I want you to think about one boundary you've set but maybe struggled to follow through on. We said at the beginning, you got to stay consistent even when it's hard, right? Yes, stay consistent even when it's hard. A lot of times we'll be on our phone, and I'm speaking for myself again, be on my phone and you see that email come through with that interesting name. You just want to click into it and see what it is, right? But if I said I'm not checking emails on the weekends, or on the weekdays past a certain time, or whatever it is, then, don't click into it. That's not what you're doing. Stay consistent with what boundaries you have set. So again, as we close, think about one boundary that you have set but maybe struggled to follow through on. This week we ask God for the strength to be faithful to do it. God, please help me. I've set this boundary. I've not stayed consistent. Help me. Be with me. Let me know in the comments. What boundary do you feel called to put into action right now? And again, I've never asked for details. I never want to know. But what area of boundaries. Is it a work boundary? Is it a personal boundary? Again, kind of like the guilt. Is it a family boundary, friend boundary? What area in your life? Is it maybe, again, maybe for you, maybe, I play on social media too much, or I'm on social media too much, I'm on my phone too much. Maybe I sit in front of the TV and watch TV too much. Like, do you have to put a limit on your TV? What boundary, what area do you know that you need to set the boundary and stick to it? Where are you struggling at? I'd like to deep dive into, if we know some areas, deep dive into those areas so we can help each other out to create those boundaries and then be able to stick with them. So let me know what area we need to focus on. Where do we need a deep dive so we can get those boundaries set? Again, we are making room for the life God designed for us to live. So as we close, I hope you guys all have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you for joining. Bye.